Welcome back to the show. Can you believe we finally closed the book on 2025? What a year for residential real estate.
Ugh, absolutely. It felt like a roller coaster that somehow stayed stuck in the station. Like we had all this drama, brokerage wars, AI exploding everywhere, but the market itself just couldn't get traction.
Exactly. But looking at the data, we know exactly what headlines grabbed everyone's attention. It really boiled down to three massive themes.
Right. It was the economy, the drama at Zillow, and the case of the missing buyer.
These stories weren't just fluff either. They really showed us what agents and consumers were stressing about. Let's start with the big picture, the economy.
Or more specifically, the man of the hour, Fed Chair Jerome Powell. I feel like every time he cleared his throat in 2025, the industry froze.
Seriously, it was our number one most read topic. Between inflation scares and those tariffs, the Fed was constantly in the spotlight.
Do you remember that speech in August when Powell finally signaled they were ready to cut short-term rates?
Oh yeah, the markets went nuts immediately. Everyone clicked on that story trying to figure out if mortgage rates would finally drop enough to save the year.
But then, even after 3 rate cuts, Powell ended the year saying housing is still going to be a problem.
Talk about a buzzkill, but it kept people reading, that's for sure.
So that leads us to the predictions. Everyone wanted to know what 2026 looks like. Spoiler alert, economists aren't using the word rebound anymore.
No, the buzzword now is reset. Basically admitting that the market was stuck in 2025 and might stay a bit weird for a while.
It makes sense. It's less about bouncing back to the crazy highs and more about finding a new normal. But let's pivot to the juiciest drama of the year.
You know I love the drama. We have to talk about Zillow.
Zillow was making headlines for all the wrong reasons, or right reasons, depending on who you ask. It started with the private listings debate.
Right, this was huge. In April, Zillow announced they were changing their listing rules. Basically, if you didn't share a listing broadly on the MLS, they weren't going to let you market it publicly on their site.
And the industry exploded. It was easily one of the most controversial moves of the year.
The backlash was immediate. You had the leaders of Homes.com and Compass throwing some serious shade. But Zillow didn't blink. They started enforcing that ban on June 30th.
And our readers were obsessed with the fallout. It wasn't just industry gossip. People needed to know the legal implications. Because, of course, the lawsuits followed.
Naturally. Compass actually sued to challenge those rules, but it got even messier late in the year.
Oh, the November surprise. That amended complaint that added RICO claims to an antitrust case against Zillow?
Yeah, alleging steering and RESPA violations. That is heavy, heavy stuff.
It was a late-breaking story, but it shot right up to the top of the most read list. It just shows how high the tension is between the portals and the brokerages right now.
While the giants were fighting in court, the actual consumers were just ghosting.
Can you blame them? The job market got weaker, wages were stagnant, and even when rates dipped, buyers just didn't show up.
It's the affordability crisis that just won't go away. Plus, we saw a lot of interest in stories about deals falling apart because of home insurance.
That is a silent deal killer right now. The insurance crisis is scaring buyers off just as much as home prices.
So we have a stuck market, angry portals, and scared buyers. But we can't wrap up without mentioning the blockbuster news from September.
The acquisition. Compass announcing plans to acquire Anywhere. That was a seismic shift.
Absolutely huge. It signaled that major consolidation is here. The big dogs are getting bigger to survive.
It really sets the stage for 2026. We're looking at a landscape with fewer, larger firms and a completely different power dynamic between brokerages and portals.
It's going to be a fascinating year. Hopefully a little less stuck than 2025, but we'll be here to cover it either way.
You bet. Thanks for listening to our 2025 wrap-up. Catch you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.